everyone, and welcome back again to the Ingenious Prep YouTube channel. My name is Kayla and I am the admissions counselor here at Ingenious Prep, where we help students apply and get into their dream colleges. As you can see from the title of this video down below, today we are focusing on the University of California, or the UC school system. I know that even outside of California or the United States, that these schools are super popular for students to apply to. Tons of our students apply every year. So I thought it would be helpful to give a short overview of each of the schools and kind of talk about what it takes to get in. So whether you're applying this year or you're just looking forward and thinking about what schools you want to apply to, I hope this really quick overview will kind of help you out. So in today's video, like I said, we're going to do a quick overview of each of the UC schools, kind of talk about their admissions requirements, how competitive they are, as well as what the campus is like and the academic specialties of the school. But before we get into that, I want to kind of go over generally what the UC application process looks like. So like I said, there are 9 schools that accept undergraduate students, and they all use the same application portal, the UC application. And these are all due on November 30th for the regular decision round. So on the application, all you have to do is simply check mark, put in which of the UC schools you want to apply to. And it will send all of your information there. So the application portal will ask you things like your personal information, information about your academic history, your transcript, your stats, everything like that. Your activities and your interests, your test scores, everything like I mentioned, and for a personal insight essay, kind of like the personal statement on the Common App. It will also ask you to answer 4 of 8 UC prompts. So as you may know, a lot of other schools have what is called supplemental essays. So these are kind of the UC version of the supplemental essay. Like I said, they give you 8 prompts to choose from and you have to answer 4 of them. And it's important to keep in mind, like I said, this application goes to every UC school that you check that box for. So I would recommend not putting anything too school specific in your essays, because other schools are going to get them and you don't want to confuse them. So that's a quick overview kind of what the application asks for. And I know there's a lot of stress around those essays. We actually have a whole blog that outlines all of the UC prompts and how to best answer them. So if you're interested in that or kind of worried about starting, I will link that in the description below. And I would highly recommend checking that out. But without further ado, let's get into those individual schools. So as we go through the schools in today's video, I'm going to go in order of ranking of how these schools are ranked this year by the U.S. News and World Report college ranking. And you'll see as we go through the video that there is quite a wide range of rankings and competitiveness, all the way from number 20 on the list to 104. So really there are options for everyone of every ability and every kind of application status. So we will get started. Like I said, number 20 on the list is the University of California, Los Angeles, or UCLA. So this is easily the most difficult school in the UC schools to get into. Last year, they only accepted 12% of their applicants, which is not many, especially considering that over 110,000 students applied. So you have a lot of competition. And even more competitive are the school's numbers. So to get in, you have to have really great and high stats. So for students who were admitted, their average weighted GPA was between 4.3 and 4.6. They had ACT scores ranging from 30 to 35 on average, and SATs between 1370 and 1540. So obviously quite high, some of the highest of all of the UC schools, and a bit more difficult to achieve. But getting past the numbers and admissions, what is UCLA actually like? Do you actually want to attend that school? So of all of the UC schools, UCLA actually has the largest student body with 45,000 students on the campus at one time. So if you're looking for small classes or a small campus, this probably isn't the best place for you. There's some other UC schools that we'll get to that might be a better fit. And as is obvious from the name, UCLA is in Los Angeles, and it's really close to the metropolitan area, to hospitals, research centers, businesses, which makes it a great option if you're interested in kind of kickstarting your career or doing internships and research opportunities as you're in college. And now for academics, UCLA has quite a few colleges that students can enroll in and apply to. So these are the College of Letters and Science, the School of Music, the School of Engineering and Applied Science, the Schools of Arts and Architecture, the School of Nursing, and of course the School of Theater, Film, and Television. So I know that was a really quick overview, but there's of course a lot of other information to look at if you're interested in these schools. I'd highly recommend checking out the links below and doing further research. But on to the next school, we have UC Berkeley, which is ranked right behind UCLA at number 22 on the list. UC Berkeley is also the other highly competitive school in the UC schools, with an acceptance rate of 16.8, still very low and very competitive. And you also see that their numbers are also comparable to UCLA and quite low and difficult to achieve. The middle 50% of accepted students have weighted GPAs between 4.0 and 4.3, ACTs between 30 and 35, just like UCLA, and SATs between 1350 and 1540. So again, very difficult to achieve. You really have to be a high achieving academic student to get in. Something important to note about Berkeley is of all of the UC schools, it is the only school that does not use the quarter system. So it's a little bit of a slower paced, a little bit more relaxed, and not as high speed semester system instead of the quarter system. So if that's something you really want, then you might be interested in Berkeley. But of course, that doesn't mean you don't have to work hard at Berkeley. The schools and colleges are very prestigious. You, of course, have the famous Haas School of Business, the College of Chemistry, College of Engineering, of Environmental Design, Letters and Sciences, and of course, the College of Natural Resources. But the Berkeley name doesn't really stop there because Berkeley has such a close proximity to the Bay Area. There are a lot of great opportunities for networking and just kind of business development as you are a student to network with professionals in the Bay Area. And the school also has partnerships with companies that allow students to apply through the UC Berkeley portal. So companies like Under Armour or Bank of the West specifically have partnerships with Berkeley to look at Berkeley students. So if you're interested in working in the Bay Area or with those companies, this is a great option to look at. A little bit down the list, we have our next school, the University of California, Santa Barbara, that comes in at ranking number 34. So UC Santa Barbara is not quite as competitive as UCLA or Berkeley. Last year they had an acceptance rate of 30%. However, it is important to realize that over 90,000 students applied, so it is still quite competitive, and you do have a lot of students that you are up against. And it's important to note that the acceptance rates for a lot of these colleges, including UC Santa Barbara, is that their acceptance rates do keep declining over the years. So in 2013, just 7 years ago, the acceptance rate was 45%. So over just the past 7 years, the acceptance rate has gone down significantly, and it will continue to do so. So that's important to keep in mind, is that these schools are continuing to grow in competitiveness. So for statistics, UC Santa Barbara, the middle 50% of accepted students have GPAs, weighted GPAs between 4.0 and 4.28, ACTs between 26 and 31, and SAT scores between 1250 and 1520. So as you can see, these scores are a little bit lower than the other two schools, not quite as competitive or difficult, but still nothing to laugh at, still not very low, and a bit difficult to achieve. UC Santa Barbara, for its campus, has an amazing campus location that is situated right by the beach, which adds to the school's kind of relaxed environment and lively social and Greek life. So if that's something you're interested in or a location you really like, then this is a great fit for you. And of course, we can't forget about the academics. Santa Barbara, like the other schools, has a College of Letters and Sciences, as well as the College of Creative Studies and the College of Engineering. And with all of these colleges and UC Santa Barbara comes a lot of robust research and publishing opportunities. So if you're interested in getting into research or publishing your work, then this is an option to look at. Up next, we have the University of California, Irvine, which is right below UC Santa Barbara and ranked number 36. So even though we are now at the middle of the UC school pack, right in the middle of the schools, we can see that the schools are still ranked quite highly and are quite competitive. So last year, 95,000 students applied to UC Irvine, and only 27% of these students got in, so a little bit lower and more competitive than UC Santa Barbara. In the middle, 50% of admits had a median weighted GPA of 4.11, ACT scores between 27 and 33, and SAT scores between 1195 and 1435. So again, we see that as we go down the list, the numbers get a little bit lower, but still nothing too easy to achieve. As for UC Irvine's campus, it is located in Orange County. It is great for students who want to get a little bit out of the urban area, a little bit more suburban, and closer to the outdoors. The campus is near great surfing beaches, biking trails, and mountain resorts. And of course, for academics, UC Irvine may boast the kind of widest variety of undergraduate colleges and programs. So I'm going to kind of rattle them off here so you can see them all. So the school has the School of Arts, the School of Biological Sciences, Education, Engineering, Humanities, the School of Information and Computer Science, Interdisciplinary Studies, the School of Physical Sciences, Social Ecology, Social Sciences, the School of Business, the School of Nursing, the Department of Pharmaceutical Sciences, and lastly, the Program of Public Health. And across all of these colleges, there are over 90 programs, so whatever you're looking for, UC Irvine is sure to have it. Directly after UC Irvine, we have the University of California, San Diego, which is ranked right next at number 37. So UC San Diego, UC Irvine, and UC Santa Barbara all have very similar acceptance rates and stats. They're really kind of in the same tier of UC schools. So last year, UC San Diego had an acceptance rate of 30%. And the median of their admitted students had weighted GPAs between 4.07 and 4.28, ACT scores between 29 and 34, and SAT scores between 1330 and 1550. So again, quite similar to the last two schools we talked about. And while UC Irvine has a little bit more of a suburban feel, kind of closer to nature, UC San Diego is much more urban, it's near the city, and has a really great nightlife. And for academics, I really want to focus in on these for UC San Diego. The university has 6 different colleges that all kind of have a unique perspective and educational philosophy. So I'm going to, again, list those here and kind of tell you a bit about the philosophies of those colleges. So first, 6th College examines the relationship between art, culture, and technology. Next, they have Eleanor Roosevelt College, which emphasizes global and multicultural economy. Earl Warren College emphasizes the connection between your undergrad education and then your future career goals. Marshall College encourages participation in the community and public service. John Muir College emphasizes individual choice and self-sufficiency. And Revel College emphasizes a more liberal arts curriculum and education. Yet again, for our next college, we come to a more rural campus. So we are going to be talking now about the University of California, Davis, which is ranked number 39. So we now come to what has been our highest acceptance rate so far, with 46% of students getting in last year. We also see that the stats are a little bit less competitive. The middle 50% of students had GPAs between 3.7 and 3.9, ACT scores between 28 and 34, and SAT scores between 1260 and 1470. So we can see that we're in a little bit of a lower tier than the schools we've talked about previously, but this school obviously still has a ton to offer. As I mentioned, the campus is more rural, and it is also actually the biggest of the UC campuses and is 5,300 acres. It's surrounded by farmland and it has a really dominant biking culture. So if you love biking and biking to class, that is a huge part of UC Davis. And fitting in with the campus and their surrounding area, UC Davis offers a College of Agricultural and Engineering Sciences, as well as the College of Biological Sciences, the College of Engineering, and of course the College of Letters and Sciences. And there's a ton of opportunities for activities and growth opportunities outside of campus. UC Davis has 10,000 internship partners, so a lot of opportunities there. There are also a ton of research opportunities around the campus and outside of it. You have the Arboretum that you can do research at, the Bodega Marine Lab, the Genome Center, the Institute for Wine and Food Science, the Tahoe Environmental Research Center, and the Student Experiment Farm. So again, another great school for students who want to get outdoors or maybe pursue careers in the environment or agriculture. Now we move down the list a little bit more and get into a bit of our next tier of UC schools. Now we're talking about the University of California, Santa Cruz, which is ranked number 84. So here we see a bit of a large bump in the acceptance rate. The school last year accepted 65% of its students, so a little bit easier to get into. In 2019, the middle 50% of accepted students had weighted GPAs between 3.7 and 4.2, ACTs between 24 and 30, and SAT scores between 1200 and 1450. So again, a little bit more attainable. And like UC Santa Cruz, UC Davis offers a little bit more of a rural campus. It's near a nature reserve, which is amazing. It gives students access to forests, hills, and a lot of wildlife. And again, like Santa Cruz, UC Davis uses these surroundings to give amazing research opportunities to their students at places like the Center for Emerging Worlds, the Natural Reserve System, and the Archaeological Research Center. And of course, students can participate in these and many other opportunities through the School of Engineering, the Division of Arts, Humanities, Physical and Biological Sciences, and Social Sciences. Moving right along, we next have UC Riverside, which is ranked number 91 by US News and World Report. So here again, we see an acceptance rate that is a little bit higher as well. Last year, they accepted 56% of their applicants. And again, we find scores that are a little bit more attainable. So the average GPA for admitted students was between 3.7 and 4.1. They had ACT scores between 21 and 29, and SAT scores between 1130 and 1400. And as for the campus, of course, though it is a little bit smaller than the other more urban UC schools, UC Riverside still has an amazing campus. It's only 1 hour away from Hollywood and is actually ranked by Forbes as one of America's coolest cities, which is an amazing aspect for a college campus. And of course, for academic opportunities as well, Riverside has the College of Engineering, the College of Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences, the College of Natural and Agricultural Studies, the School of Business Administration, and the School of Public Policy. And what's amazing about UC Riverside is that if you're interested in Riverside or just getting more of a college experience right now as you're still in high school, they have their STEM outreach program, which partners with students who are K through 12 to partner with the UC Riverside faculty and kind of get more of a STEM education, which is an amazing thing. So if you're a STEM student, I would highly recommend looking into that. And last but certainly not least, we have the last of the UC schools, which is UC Merced, which is currently ranked at 104. UC Merced was actually opened only in 2005, and it is obviously the newest of the UC campuses. And it was created with the amazing mission to make the UC schools more accessible to underrepresented minorities and first-gen students. So here at this school, we see the highest acceptance rate, which makes sense with the mission. Last year, 72% of students were accepted. And we also have scores that are more easily attainable with weighted GPAs between 3.4 and 3.9, ACT scores between 17 and 25, and SAT scores between 1020 and 1270. And given its young status, it isn't surprising to learn that UC Merced is the smallest campus of all of the UC schools. It typically only has about 7,800 students on campus at one time. So if you really like quite small classes, a small campus feel, then this is a really great option for you. It is also another great option if you love nature and getting outside. The campus is close to 3 different national parks: Yosemite, Sequoia, and Kings Canyon. And the school even has a partnership with Yosemite that allows students to conduct research there. And of course, other academic opportunities can be found through the School of Social Sciences, Humanities, and the Arts, the School of Natural Sciences, and the School of Engineering. And there you have it. Those are the 9 University of California schools that accept undergraduate students. I know I moved through everything quite quickly and obviously did not get to all of the amazing things about these schools. So if you're interested in one of these schools and applying to the UC system, I would highly recommend doing your research, looking into every one of these schools, maybe doing online virtual tours to really find which school is right for you based on its campus culture as well as, of course, its academic opportunities. And as I mentioned before, I will be leaving quite a few resources down in the description below that will talk about the UC essays as well as about how to get into some of the schools like UCLA or Berkeley. So please check those out if you're interested. And again, best of luck if you are applying this year.